the Children's Uplift program is a project in the capital of Bangladesh, based in Dhaka. And the project's basic aim is to help girls on the street so that they don't end up in sex work. And how it does that is that it targets the mothers. So usually the mothers are in street-based sex work. We have outreach onto the streets in the areas where sex workers operate, and we try and get those women into a 2-year training project with us. And as part of that project, they have to bring their kids with them. And so the kids come every day and they're based in the project. They get fed, they get educated, they're put into school. So I want to tell you about Yasmin, who is one of the beneficiaries of this project. Yasmin was on the streets, so she was she said she was in and out of sex work. She had 3 kids. She said she was very sick for 3 years running. The medical industry in Bangladesh is not very good, so even though she'd sought help, she'd never gotten the right treatment, and subsequently she got worse and worse. She said by the time that she was involved with CUP, she was convinced she was going to die. She felt like she had no hope, and she preferred to die. Like she said, she'd just been so unwell for so long. One of the other ladies on the street told her about CUP, so she went into CUP, and the first thing they did was they took her up to the doctors, they got her the medical help she needed, then they made her rest for a month, and then by the end of that month she was much better. They took her kids and cared for them throughout that month, and then she was entered into the training project. She finished the project, the training program, and then she was employed by our partner business, Bashar, and she's now been there for a few years, and she's one of the highest earners. And she said, when she was talking about how CUP had benefited her, that, that it had given her hope when she'd had absolutely no hope. I was there in 2008, which is when the project actually started. I'm a social worker, so myself and another British social worker, we spent the first 6 months doing research in the capital on the needs of girls on the street. The 3 things that stood out from talking to the girls in other projects were the women said that they wanted to be able to write their names. They said they wanted an employment that was safe, and they said that they wanted someone to love them because they'd never really been loved before in their life. Like most of them come from very unstable backgrounds. Some of them were trafficked. So they were the 3 things that stood out, and so they were the 3 guiding principles for us as we put together the CUP project. My motivation was God's love for these women. When we did our research, what was very touching was just how the women talked about really no one had ever cared for them in their lives. Even today when I spend time with the women, that's obvious. People that should have cared properly for them didn't. And so, the motivation that I had in starting it was to show those women that actually someone does care for them and someone does love them. And, because God created them and loves them, they have a dignity inherent in them because, they are created by God. And I think this project does an excellent job of treating each and every one of those women like they're special. God cares for them. People can support CUP in 2 ways. It's a good project, a high quality project. Subsequently, it's got a fairly decent budget. So one way of supporting it is to give financially. There are certain professions that would be helpful, professional skills that would be helpful for this project. So trauma counsellors, teachers, doctors, medical professions. CUP's really good at taking people from those professions and utilising their skills. So people that are in those industries could be really helpful for this project as volunteers.